Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Photoshop tutorial. It's me and Yasmin here in the office, and I'm just going to show you how to work with photos in a very simple way to prepare them for assignment submissions. So I'm going to go up and open an image and go and File, Open in Photoshop, and I'm going to select this image that's on my desktop, which is by Mahmoud, a student from last semester. And when you open the photo into Photoshop, you will see, and this is the photo, you will see that it has a number that's from the camera, IMG, and then some numbers. So I would say the first step to do is just save it as something you're going to remember and recognize. So I'm going to call it Photoshop tutorial, if I can spell it right, 1. Okay, so we'll call it that, and then I save. And when I save, this window opens that lets me save it at different file sizes, anything from low to maximum. And I'm just going to save it at maximum. So what that means now is that the Photoshop has saved it under this name, and no information has been lost, no quality has been lost. It's the same quality as it was on the camera. So now I have something to work with. So the first stage I might think about is that I might want to change the lighting a little bit. Not to the point that you would notice it, not that it looks like it's been through a filter, but just something very simple. So quite often when photos are made in good light, normal lighting, actually auto contrast works really well. And it's very, very subtle, and I'll just do it now. And I go up to Image, I should show you that again. I go to Image, and I go Auto Contrast, and I'm going to click it now. Okay, and it just changed the photo slightly. I'm going to reverse that and go back to Edit and reverse it. And you can just see the kid's arm just changed a little bit. So it's not a very dramatic change. And it'll apply to more photos than others, depending on the lighting. But I might decide that I want to actually maybe make the lighting here more stand-outy, more visible. So I go to Adjustments, and I can shift it here on the brightness and contrast. So brightness makes the photo brighter. So if I push it up, you'll see that. And then if I go down, it makes it darker. But it's not really doing what I want to do, which is not to affect that part of it, but actually just to make it more kind of graphic and more punchy. And that often is controlled by on the contrast. So if I increase the contrast here, I'm up to, I think, 25% now. You can just see that the photo now, this little teddy bear, has started to kind of pop out a bit more. The texture has started to increase. The light around here has started to become a little bit more dramatic. And if I cancel it, you'll see it jump back. Okay? So you can see. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of cleaning up the light a little bit. The light just looks a little bit more dramatic, but not to the point that you really notice it. So I'm going to increase that again in the contrast alone. I'm going to go up to say 30%. And then I'm just going to see what it would look like if I decrease the brightness just by a little bit. And I might just leave it around there. Okay, so put it like 10%. So that's the two settings. So if I save that, there you go. So that's saved. So now I'm going to think, okay, I've tweaked the lighting. I haven't transformed it. I've just kind of improved it a little bit from what it was in the original photo. So now I'm going to think about maybe, should I crop some of the photo? Should I change some of those things? Is the composition exactly as I want it? So over here, you have all these different tools, and they can do lots and lots of different things. But this is your crop tool. And if you're ever wondering what is a tool, if you just hover over it, the name will come up. You can see there it says crop. So I'm going to click crop. And what I'm going to try and do is kind of cut some of this area out and have less of this blue wall. And that means I'm going to position everything a little bit over to the other side. So I'm going to go over to the other corner, click on it, and then drag. And in Photoshop, you'll see, unlike other programs, it actually is really easy to maintain the proportions of the photo. Because I want to keep this a rectangle, I don't want to turn it into a square photo. So what happens now when I release is that it's sort of letting me know what that change is going to be. And then to make that happen, I just click on it twice and it crops it. So there's my photo. So now I'm kind of pretty happy with that. I would be, in terms of the composition and the lighting, so I'm ready to kind of save it. So again, just go up and save your work. You don't need to save as, you can just save it. And that means your photo now is there at its best quality, optimum quality. But that is a good photo if I want to actually print a photo, which you will be printing your work, but it's not a really good photograph to upload to the internet because the file size is really big. So I can check the file size by going up to Image and going to Image Size. And then that opens a window that tells you how big the actual image is. And what you have here is you have the width, which is obviously the horizontal direction, and then you have the height, which is the vertical direction. And you'll see that it's giving you a size of 37.47 centimeters. So that's quite large. And if you think of a A4 sheet of paper, it's actually sort of 29, almost 30 by 22. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce it to A3 size, and I'm going to put it in at 30. It's approximately A3. And what you'll notice is that the program has adjusted the height automatically. So you only need to adjust the longest side to 30. And that's good. Oops, that's on 29. I'll put it back to 30, make it simple. And this is 20.71, so that's fine. It's done it it's kept the same proportions. But the problem is that the photo is still quite large, and I can tell that by looking at the pixels. And the reason is that the resolution here is very high. It's good for printing, and you need that for printing, but it's very high. So what I'm going to do is reduce it to 100 dpi, okay? And when I go OK, it will readjust everything, and it's actually telling you approximately what the file size will be. That's 2.7, and it was originally 37 megabytes. So I'm going to click OK, and then the image automatically jumps to being very, very small, okay? So that is now, the thing that you don't want to mix up here is you do not want to save that as it is, because if you do that, you will replace the other image that is much bigger and it's much better quality, and you'll lose it. So you have to save it as, and what I do is I leave the same title and then I just add in small, so I know which is which. And then I go save as, and I'm going to leave it at maximum size there as well. So what that means is, I'm going to click out of Photoshop to show you this, is that over here, somewhere, oh yeah, there it is, okay, I pull it over, oh no, it didn't come over. Over here are two photos. One is Photoshop small, as you can see it there, it's sort of saying that. I'll click on it again, now you can't really see it because it's red, but it's small, and that's the larger file. And then what I do is I click on both of them, I select them, then I go over to File, and I go Get Info, okay, and there's actually a shortcut just to do whatever that is, and one Command key and one. But anyway, I'm showing it to you here for now. So Get Info, and what it does is it opens up both of the photos where I can get a lot of the information on them that I need to know. So I'm just resizing them a little bit. So it actually tells you here what is the file size, okay, and it tells you here what is the file size. So on the original photo, which I just called Photoshop Tutorial 1, you can see it's almost 10, it's 9.3 megabytes. So that's a very big file, and what that means is that if you try to upload that to your Tumblr or put it on the internet, it'll be very slow to upload, and then it'll be very slow for anyone to look at it to download, because it's a very big file. And then over here on the one that I saved as, and I resized it, that I just showed you, the file is actually under 1 megabyte. It's 868 KB. And that means that that will upload really fast. That will also upload and download. And then when you do file info, there's lots of other information that you can actually get, like the technical information, the camera it was shot on, all that sort of stuff that might be useful. But the basic point is that I have two versions of the same photo, that one is a large photo and one is a small photo. The small photo goes onto your Tumblr, the large photos you use for printing, and you also save them on your flash memory drive, because that is your kind of original good quality. So that is the end of the short and brief introduction into Photoshop and what you need to be able to do. And if you follow those kinds of steps, I think you'll be able to complete the assignments very well.